It was a scorching afternoon at a gas station on the outskirts of town. Cars lined up at the pumps, people in a hurry to fill their tanks and move on with their day. In the midst of all the chaos, an elderly woman stood near one of the pumps, visibly distressed. Her silver hair was slightly disheveled, and she clutched a small, worn-out purse to her chest. Her hands trembled as she approached a man in a suit who was refueling his luxury car. "Sir, please. I just need a little help. I don't have enough money for gas," she said softly. The man barely spared her a glance before scoffing. "Not my problem, lady. If you can't afford gas, maybe you shouldn't be driving." He shook his head and muttered under his breath, "Pathetic." The elderly woman swallowed hard, blinking back tears. She turned to another person, a young couple, hoping for kindness. "Please, just a few dollars." Before she could finish, the woman wrinkled her nose. "We're not an ATM," she snapped, pulling her boyfriend's arm. "Come on, let's go." The old woman stood frozen, her hands gripping her purse tighter. The people around her avoided her gaze, pretending not to hear. Just as she lowered her head, defeated, Clint Eastwood stepped out of his car, his sharp eyes narrowing as he observed the scene. Clint Eastwood walked toward the elderly woman, his boots making a firm sound against the pavement. The gas station fell silent as people recognized him. Some gasped, others whispered, but Clint wasn't focused on them, his attention was solely on the elderly woman. She hesitated, ashamed to ask again. But Clint's gentle nod encouraged her. I only need a little gas to get home," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Clint looked at the near-empty gas pump and then back at her tired face. "Don't worry about it," he said firmly. Without another word, he stepped forward, pulled out his wallet, and handed a $100 bill to the gas station clerk. "Fill her tank. And give her some extra for later." The clerk's eyes widened. "Right away, sir." The old woman gasped. "Oh, no, sir, that's too much." "I can't," Clint shook his head. "You can. And you will." He gave her a small smile. "Consider it a reminder that good people still exist." The businessman who had insulted her earlier watched the scene unfold, his face paling. Clint turned slightly, locking eyes with him. "Something you want to say?" Clint asked, his voice calm yet firm. The man quickly looked away, embarrassed. By now, everyone at the gas station had stopped what they were doing. The same people who had ignored the elderly woman just moments ago were now watching in stunned silence. Clint Eastwood stood beside her as the fuel pumped into her car, his presence alone shifting the energy in the air. The woman's hands trembled, not from distress, but from overwhelming gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. Clint gave her a reassuring nod. "Just pay it forward someday, when you can." Suddenly, a middle-aged woman in a nurse's uniform stepped forward. I'd like to help too." She reached into her wallet and pulled out another $20. "For anything else she might need." Then, another person followed. "Me too," a man said, placing some cash on the counter. One by one, more people stepped forward, offering money, groceries, even a bottle of water. The elderly woman's eyes filled with tears. Minutes ago, she had been invisible. Now, strangers were surrounding her with kindness, all because Clint Eastwood had stepped in. The businessman who had mocked her earlier cleared his throat, avoiding Clint Eastwood's piercing gaze. I didn't mean to be rude," he muttered. Clint simply raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" The man turned red. I didn't think." Clint sighed, shaking his head. "That's the problem with people like you. You don't think until someone forces you to." The businessman glanced at the old woman, then at the cash piling up beside her. His shoulders slumped. Without another word, he reached into his wallet, pulled out a handful of bills, and silently placed them on the counter before walking away. The old woman looked around, overwhelmed. "I never expected this," she whispered. Clint Eastwood chuckled. "That's the thing about kindness, it surprises you when you least expect it." A few feet away, the young couple who had refused to help her earlier stood awkwardly. Clint turned to them, his expression unreadable. "Wouldn't have cost you much, would it?" The young woman bit her lip, ashamed. "No," she admitted. Clint nodded. "Think about that next time." As the gas station clerk finished filling her tank, the elderly woman turned to Clint Eastwood one last time. "I won't forget this," she said, wiping her eyes. "And I'll make sure to help someone else the way you helped me." Clint nodded, his signature smirk appearing. "That's all I ask." With one final glance at the people around him, some humbled, some inspired, Clint tipped his hat, turned on his heel, and walked toward his car. The whispers followed him, admiration in every voice. The young couple, still standing in silence, finally looked at each other. "We should have helped her," the woman admitted. "Yeah," her boyfriend agreed. "We won't make that mistake again." As Clint drove off, the sun cast a golden glow over the gas station. What had started as a moment of humiliation turned into a powerful lesson in humanity. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more inspiring stories like this.